Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo. It is so good to see each and every one of you here because each and every one of you sanctifies this space. You bring in your little liberal light and it makes a huge flame here and warms our sanctuary. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is so good to have each and every one of you here. I want to welcome you again to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo. We are blessed to be together, and we acknowledge that the land upon which we meet rests upon the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee people, the original nations of this land who continue to call for justice and self-determination. In this church, we wear our masks over our nose and our mouth because we care for ourselves and each other. We got a bunch of announcements besides my regular ones. First of all, December 12th is the Mitten Tree Sunday. Just put that in your calendars. December 12th, Mitten Tree Sunday. So bring some warm, new hats, mitts, scarves, socks. Have I missed anything? Gloves, maybe, but they're not really as warm. To decorate our mitten tree with. You can also bring gift cards for Tops Friendly Markets, Target, and Save-A-Lot. And all of these gifts will be donated to the client at Journeys End Refugee Center Services. I want to let you know, if you haven't heard yet, that I'm going to be taking a very short sabbatical in the months of January and February. A letter's going to be sent out shortly with lots of details about my plans and about the continuing ministry of the church. And now it is with, one more announcement before I do that. There is going to be another town hall. We know you loved the first two. We're going to have another town hall on December 7 at 7 o'clock. It'll be held here and on the same YouTube station that we're on right at the moment. I hope somebody in the tech department is aware of that. We're going to make it happen. And now it's with great pleasure that I introduce to you Doreen Park, Pat Burke, and Simon and Kim Connolly from the Amherst Unitarian Universalist Church. Why don't you come on forward? They're here to receive all this food that you donated last week for our Thanksgiving service. Ritual gift. You can have one. And here we are. Everybody gets one. Oh, hold on. We're missing somebody. Is Dory? Maybe Dory. All right, you get two after all. Okay, there you are. We give these to you to convey our best wishes to you and your community, and may the nourishment not only feed stomachs, but also souls, and create a continuing and deeper bond between our congregations. Welcome and thank you for coming and holding that amazing service of providing a food pantry for our community. Thank you so much. And then after the service, we'll get cleaned up. Is that okay?
Thank you very much.
All right, great.
Thank you on behalf of the people of Amherst and our greater community and for your connections.
Let us call ourselves to be fully present at this time in this place with these words of the Reverend Amy Zucker Morgenstern. Blessed is the dark in which our dreams stir and are revealed. Blessed is the dark of earth where seeds come to life. Blessed are the depths of the ocean where no light shimmers, the womb of all earthly life. Blessed is the light into which we awake, the light that sparkles on the waters, that calls the tree forth from the seed and calls the shadow forth from the tree. Blessed are we as we move through darkness and through light. Come, let us worship. I invite you to stand in body or spirit as we say together our words for lighting our chalice. We gather in loving community, inspiring one another to transform ourselves to create a more just and compassionate world.
All right. And now our chalice won't light, so we're going to light the menorah first. All right, I think I'm on. Woo, yes, I'm on. Once upon a time, a long time ago, about 2,190 years ago, there was an Assyrian king, and he was named Antiochus Epiphanes, and he lived in the land of Judea. Now, King Antiochus was part of the great Greek empire run by Alexander the Great. And so King Antiochus was kind of like the local enforcer of the Greek empire, the colonizing machine of Judea. And one of his enforcing duties was to stomp out any form of religion that wasn't the Greek pagan religion. So he stomped out Judaism everywhere on pain of death. The people could not worship as they would on pain of death. What was worse is King Antiochus's people began celebrating their pagan rites, sullying, putrefying, polluting the temples and the shrines throughout the land, including the great temple in Jerusalem, the Holy of Holies. Now, some of the people in Judea didn't mind this. They thought they were quite admiring of the Greek philosophy and worldly ways, and they took on some of those habits. They were okay with it. But there were others who were disgusted by the pollution of their temples and who were angry at being oppressed, and they were really, really mad at all of their neighbors and friends who had collaborated with the Greek oppressors. Now, there was one group of guys, these 5 guys called the Maccabee brothers, and these guys were big and strong, kind of superhero dudes, and they said, "We're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore." And they joined together with a ragtag bunch of rebels, and they took to the hills, took to the wilderness, took to the forests, and began a guerrilla warfare against the might of the Greek army, armed with nothing but their bravery, their wit, their cunning, their knowledge of the area, and really armed nothing with much more than pitchforks and rocks. And with nothing more than that, after 3 years, they fought against the might and strength of the entire Greek army machine, and they fought them back, and they retook Jerusalem, and they retook their holy temple and all their shrines, and there was much celebration in the land.
Every week, our congregation takes a good portion of the Sunday morning offering and gives it away to a social justice cause outside our church walls. This month, we're supporting the good work of Our Mommy Village. Our Mommy Village is a full-service doula, lactation, and postpartum support community designed intentionally to help raise and support Black mothers and mothers of color. To support our Share the Plate ministry, you can use PayPal by going to our website, www.buffalouu.org, and clicking on the blue Donate button. Or you can send a check by mail to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo, 695 Elmwood Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14222. You can also arrange a regular automatic deposit with your bank. Or, of course, you can just put it in the offering plate. If you're writing a check and yours is a gift to the Share the Plate ministry, please write SHARE on the memo line, and it will be shared between Our Mommy Village and the church operating budget. If yours is a welcome gift to our congregation, please write Pledge 2021 on the memo line. Either way, please write UUCB on the important line, and we will do the bookkeeping. Let us give generously in this season of gratitude and joy.
Button goes, there we go. Here I am. Well, I've told you the story of the Maccabee brothers and how that was fairly miraculous. But now I want to tell you a different story. Remember, the Maccabee brothers came in and they reclaimed Jerusalem, and they reclaimed the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, the center of all Judaism. But you know, when they got there, the place was a shambles. The Maccabees, the Greeks had trashed the temple to create gnashing of teeth and wailing amongst the Jews. And in fact, that is exactly what happened. You see, to get started on their very first day of worship there, to rededicate the temple, to make it sacred again, to make it holy, they couldn't just assemble as we do. They needed to be able to light their sacred lamp. How ironic. And unfortunately, they could find no oil. All the jars of sacred oil had been smashed in the destruction of the temple. They searched high and low behind tossed away scrolls and broken cabinets and under piles of rubble, and they could find no oil, no sacred oil to light the lamp and rededicate their temple. Until one person found one jar, one tiny little sealed vial of oil. Now, it would have been miracle enough after all the years of domination, oppression, and colonization to find a single jar of consecrated oil. They very carefully poured it into the menorah, the sacred lamp, and they very carefully lit it, and it lit. And that would have been miracle enough. But that one jar of oil, which should have burned for only one day and one night, burned for night after night after night, for 8 full days, the days of infinity. And that is why we have the miracle of Hanukkah and the menorah, and why all around the world on this night, the people light the first candle of their menorahs.
Our reading this morning is entitled Dark of the Sun, Dark of the Moon, Hanukkah, from Seasons of Our Joy by Rabbi Arthur Waskow. The Jewish calendar is based on the cycles of the moon. Today, we are in the lunar month of Kislev. Rabbi Waskow writes, by the 25th of every lunar month, the moon has gone into exile. And late in Kislev, we're close to the moment of the winter solstice, when the sun has also gone into exile. The day is at its shortest, and the night is at its longest before the sunlight begins to return. It is the darkest moment of the year, the moment when it is easiest to feel despair. At this dark moment, we celebrate Hanukkah, the feast of dedication, by lighting the candles for 8 nights. And night after night, we make our way into, through, and out of the darkness of the sun and moon. We experience and feel the turn toward salvation from the moment of despair.
Once upon a time, well, I've told you the stories of the Maccabee brothers and of the oil, and now I'm going to tell you a different story. Once upon a time, deep in the woods, there was a cottage, and in the cottage lived a little girl named Little Red Ruthie. And Little Red Ruthie was very excited because today was the first day of Hanukkah, and that meant she was going to go to Grandma Bubby's house and make potato latkes, and they were going to be delicious. So she packed up a basket of sour cream and applesauce to have with the latkes, and she put on her boots and her hat and her scarf and her big warm red riding hood, and off she went through the forest to Grandma's house. Now, she hadn't got very far when she met a big bad wolf who said, "Little girl, I'm going to eat you up." Well, this frightened Ruthie from her nose down to her toes. But she thought to herself, this is Hanukkah, and I'm going to be as brave as the Maccabees. So she said, "Mr. Wolf, I'm sure I would be delicious, except for I'm as skinny as a twig. I'm going off to Bubby's house to eat potato latkes for a whole week and a day. After that, I will be plump and delicious as a pancake myself. So why don't you eat me up then? Why don't we wait?" Well, the wolf thought about this and thought, good idea. All right, it's a deal. And Ruthie headed off to Bubby's house. But as the wolf saw Ruthie disappear into the snow-covered foliage, he felt his tummy grumble. And he thought, change of plans, and went loping through the woods to Bubby's house ahead of Ruthie. Well, when the wolf got to Bubby's house, he saw a note on the door. And it was a sad state of affairs, but that wolf couldn't read. I'll tell you what the note said, though. It said, "Dear Ruthie, gone to the village to pick up a Hanukkah treat. Be back soon. Love, Bubby." Well, the wolf was very disappointed not to see anybody at home because he had hoped to eat up Bubby as an appetizer to Ruthie, but no matter. He pushed himself in, and to bide his time and entertain himself while he was waiting for Ruthie, he started playing dress-up with Bubby's clothes. He put on a big floppy hat and a long flowery dress, a bright blue set of beads, and red high heels. He looked in the mirror and liked what he saw. Well, Ruthie showed up and saw the note on the door. Now, Ruthie actually could read quite well, so she was surprised to see a light on in the window. She peered in the window and was also surprised to see the wolf dressed up in Bubby's clothes. She was frightened, very, very frightened, but she thought about being brave like the Maccabees and cunning like the Maccabees, and she went in through the front door and said, "Mr. Wolf, so nice to see you, and how fetching you look. You must be starving after that long walk through the woods. Why don't I make you an appetizer before the main course?" Moi. So she began to make latkes, and he said, "Well, make it quick and skip the frying part." "Oh, no, we can't skip the frying part. The oil is a very important part of the Hanukkah story." And she, as she was frying up the latkes, told the wolf all about the Maccabees, and she told the wolf all about the miracle of the oil and the menorah. And by the time she was done, she had stacks and stacks and stacks of latkes, and the wolf ate plateful after plateful after plateful after plateful. Bubby came home, and she was quite alarmed to see the wolf and Ruthie together. "Bubby," said Ruthie, Our guest has just finished his appetizers and he's ready now for the main course, us. The wolf felt his stomach. Brr. No thanks, I think I'm full. Still wearing all the finery, he tottered toward the door, and Bubby took his paw and put a jelly donut in it and said, "This is for tomorrow. Such a shame you can't stay," as she ushered him out the door. Then Bubby and Ruthie sat down for a lovely meal of latkes, and they were indeed delicious. My goodness, I have to get through a lot of this service to get to where I want to be. Here we are. So, I've told you a bunch of stories today, a bunch of different stories. And the story of the superhero Maccabees is the story of the soldier's way, a story that teaches that power can come from destroying your enemy. It became the story of kings and revolutionaries. Then there's the story of the menorah, which is a different story again, and it's the story of miracle, and it became the story of the rabbis. Over the years, the rabbis had seen again and again and again Jewish uprisings and rebellions, and they'd seen them be systematically and thoroughly crushed by the iron fists of Greece and Rome. The rabbis learned that uprisings led to disaster. But traditions like the menorah, the stories of miracle, could protect and preserve the people through the ages. Now, Ruthie, a different story again. Ruthie found power in both stories. She claimed her inner Maccabee superhero powers of courage and wit against the wolf. She also used the story of the menorah by curbing the wolf's appetite. By telling a story and then telling a different story, she survived, and she protected her bubby. We might ask, what kind of power do our latter-day prophets and heroes use? Greta Thunberg calling us to account as we destroy the environment. Reverend William Barber as he leads the Poor People's Campaign and the Third Reconstruction. Colin Kaepernick as he silently takes a knee to draw attention to the injury of this nation. What about the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement and the Me Too movement? What kind of powers did they use? What kind of stories do they tell to fuel the transformation of our world? And while you're at it this holiday season, what superpowers and miracles fuel you in your day-to-day life? What can the Hanukkah stories teach you about your journey into tomorrow? And there is one more story. There's always one more story, right? Hanukkah always begins on the 25th day of the lunar month of Kislev, when the nights are longest and the moon is in exile and it's really, really dark. Maybe, just maybe, the Greek Syrian pagans who allegedly desecrated the Temple of Jerusalem way back before the very first Hanukkah, maybe the Greek Syrians weren't so much intentionally desecrating the temple by making their own sacrifices on the altar in this darkest time of the year. Maybe, just maybe, they weren't desecrating the temple out of spite. Maybe they were celebrating the solstice in their own way, calling back the sun in their own fashion, making the temple holy in their own tradition. Maybe, just maybe, since Hanukkah didn't even exist before the Maccabees reclaimed the temple, maybe the Jews took over a pagan holiday because maybe, just maybe, there is a human need to be together and celebrate the darkness. Blessed is the dark, in which our dreams stir and are revealed. Blessed is the dark of the earth, where seeds come to life. Blessed are the depths of the ocean, where no light shimmers. Blessed is the dark, the womb of all earthly light and life. Let's join in singing. Hymn 221 in your gray hymnal, light one candle. It's a fast one. Let's keep up. Let's join in the responsive reading as printed in your order of service insert. I will read the regular font, and y'all can have the italicized. How's that? Nothing's italicized. Okay, I will read. Look at that. Okay, that's helpful. So I'll read the stuff that's on the left justification, and you can read the indented bits. How's that? Okay. Ah. Perfection is not a thing. We light the Hanukkah candles in wonder, joy, and gratitude, each candle a miracle. When the Holy Temple was rededicated, oh, hold on, now am I reading? My bit is even differenter from yours. All right, darkness, okay. Sorry, everybody. When the Holy Temple was rededicated at the time of the Maccabean liberation battle, only 1 day's worth of oil remained, yet it burned for 8 days, so we light the candles in remembrance. We rededicate ourselves to the miracle of light in a season of darkness. To the miracle of hope in a time of despair. We rededicate ourselves to the miracle of wholeness in a time of fracture. To the miracle of courage in a time of fear. To the miracle of resistance in a time of oppression. To the miracle of peace in a time of violence. And in a time of hatred, we rededicate ourselves to the miracle of love. Today, we especially open our hearts to the friends and family of Robbie Butler. Especially, we hold in our hearts Robbie's beloved partner, Julie Carter. Robbie died on Thanksgiving morning. Her memorial service will be held sometime in the summer. And we hold in our hearts, in joy and celebration, Dick Krause, who has just celebrated a birthday. And now let us open our sanctuary of memory, caring, hope, and accountability to the names of all our loved ones suffering in sorrow and celebrating in joy, each name a breath and each breath a prayer. The breath of nature is upon us. The spirit of love is within us. The community of love is among us. So be it. Blessed be. And let the church say, Amen. Let's join in singing hymn number 401 in your gray hymnal, Shalom Haverim.
We're going to sing this once in unison and twice as a round. Michael's going to start 1, 2, and our guest Tiffany DeMichelle is going to lead us. I don't have a mic.
Yes. Let us please remain standing as we say the words that we would say with the extinguishing of the chalice if the chalice were lit. But we carry it in our hearts. As we extinguish the flame of this chalice, may we carry its light with us into the world in the power of peace, faith, justice, and love.
The average atmospheric concentration of carbon dioxide in August 2021 was 414.47 parts per million, much higher than the 350 parts per million considered safe, and the pre-industrial concentrations that ranged from 172 to 300 parts per million.
How dare you pretend that this can be solved with this business as usual, business as usual? How dare you pretend that this can be solved with this business as usual, business as usual? How dare you pretend that this can be solved with this business as usual?
Thank you.
My friends, may we resist the temptation to shine light in all the corners. Rather, may we lean into the night, for without darkness, we will never see the stars. Remember you are blessed. Remember you are a blessing. And above all else, remember you are not alone. You are never alone. So be it. Blessed be. And let the church say, Amen.